You're on.
Okay, hello. We are at the Adirondack Museum and they have a special day today. It's the American Mountain Men exhibit. I'm here with Ray Philly.
Philly, I'm not a horse.
Philly, sorry. Who is an expert in brain tanning, and this is such a treat since I've never actually smelled or touched or heard the hands-on experience with brain tan leather. So Ray has a few examples here, and one of the things I find fascinating is the colorations of the hides, and Ray has an excuse for that. If you look over here, there's one that's a little bit more amber and one that's more washed out. Ray, tell me how that happens.
When you first get the hide tan, it's white. It's very white. Like you see the Indian princesses, white. But now if you get caught in the rain, what happens? That goes right back to rawhide, because the fibers of the leather won't slide. They get glued back together. So the color that comes from smoking them, and the creosote from the smoke gets into the fibers, insulates the fibers. So if it gets wet, when it dries out, they loosen back up again. It's like a chamois. You got to give it a couple tugs and it loosens back up.
Now, are chamois truly brain tanned, or are they
commercialized it's commercial tan, but it's the same
concept.
Technique. Yeah.
Now, this has a smoky odor to it, and it's soft and supple. And Ray was telling me the process that it doesn't have a hair cell or a pore cell on it because
the epidermis has been scraped off. That's the hard work, because you have to have a sharp tool to do the scraping.
And after the hair comes out,
you got to get the epidermis.
The final layer is the epidermis
and then
before
you get the
the
nice suede feel to it.
And going back, because make sure that this is clear for the students. The creosote that you use in the smoking process has an element of tar and stuff, and that gives it that waterproof quality, correct?
Well, it's not really waterproof. This will soak up rain like nobody's business.
Okay.
But when it dries, it doesn't get hard as a rock again. It stays soft.
Back to its flexibility.
Okay. Now, one thing about brain tan is it stretches. So when you wear it, it gives.
Okay.
You can blow air through brain tan. That's one way to test. And when you're wearing it, it's not clammy like regular leather. Regular leather gets kind of clammy feeling because it
won't breathe.
This is good. Wind doesn't really affect it. It's a good windbreak. Walking through brush, berry vines and stickers don't grab it like they do cloth. It's quiet. If you're hunting and you're wearing this stuff, it's very quiet.
Right, by the Indians like
you don't have any nylon sounds.
Right.
And it wears a long time.
And it has a very mellow hand to it. It's very soft and supple. And if we look at the chaps that Ray is wearing, this is brain tan that as it ages...
They pick up dirt.
So given the benefits that brain tanning has, why has it in modern fashion largely fallen into disuse? Is it monetary reasons because the amount of time that's involved?
It's a lot of labor, an awful lot of labor.
Labor intense.
And how many have you done in your...
Probably 50.
And each one takes about how long?
Well,
this
would take 2 days just to go through the drying process, minimum, to get it dry enough where you don't have to wrap it up in a plastic bag overnight. Because if you stop, you got to start over. And you can feel the edges sometimes; they don't get really stretched out; they're stiff.
Right. Tell us the process of how you said you have the brain and the spinal fluids, or sometimes just brain, and you dip it in, and then when you take it out, about the wood, how you wring it out.
Okay. After it's been de-haired and all the flesh is taken off the inside and all the epidermis is taken off from underneath the hair, you wring it out a couple times in fresh water so it's fairly clean. And sometimes I'll add a little bit of vinegar to the water to counteract the lime, neutralize it. And then I'll put a bar across a doorway or something and take one end of the hide and roll it over, take the other end and roll it over, roll that up, and you can put a stick in there and you can twist it really tight. A couple times, turn it and twist it again, take it out, stretch it back. Now you can tell that all the fibers are moving. And then once it's good and rinsed, then I take a brain and I have a blender that I can use. And you put some water in there.
In a blender.
A dedicated blender. It doesn't go back upstairs.
Just dedicated for that.
Yeah. And then I'll put about a half a gallon of warm water in a bucket. I'll put the hide in there and swish it around real good and squeeze it and rinse it. And I'll wring it out. And that process 2 or 3 times. A big hide from a big deer, you may have to do it 10 times to make sure it goes in good.
Make sure it gets in completely.
And then I'll wring it out, but not real hard, and I'll hang it in front of my wood stove for a long enough time that it starts to dry a little bit. Then I'll go start working it over a rounded piece of wood and
Get it
stretching
soft and
working
supple.
all the corners, and then looking at it, because you'll find areas where the epidermis is still there, and if you scrape it off before it gets too dry, you're ahead of the game.
That's right.
And you get a nice suede finish to it.
So
nice
it's
and
no
even.
brush. You don't use any kind of metal brush.
No, you have to scrape with something sharp, like a piece of
Fantastic.
metal.
Now, just before we run out of space, I noticed there's a bucket there full of implements or tools. Are those all instrumental in the process, or are those just?
No, those are pistols
Oh, it's completely unrelated.
Yeah, I made the
Black powder
pistols.
Okay.
But you can see the.
I didn't know. Look at the. I was looking at the mallets, who I thought were mallets. I didn't know what.
That's for your short starting.
Right. Okay.
Let me show you.
I should have seen that.
And I love the knots that he did in the back of his chaps. Oh yeah, look at this. Wow.
Now that is a piece of brain tan.
This is 5 hides
5 hides.
Wow, and they're all deer.
and a week sewing.
Did you do the sewing as
Yeah,
well?
see all the pieces.
Wow,
So this is the
that's
coat I wear.
fantastic. This is fantastic. Now turn around. I love the stitching on the back of your chaps
chaps.
there.
Oh, I made them too small, so I had to add a piece.
No, but like it looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's laced.
I love that.
It's what they call laced up.
And the lace is also with brain tan.
Yeah, and this is just decoration.
Right.
When you see this,
Fringe is just decoration.
decoration.
All right, folks, I'm trying it on. Authentic.
Okay.
Wow,
How's that hang?
phenomenal. That's patterned off of the gentleman's
You know what?
frock
It's
coat.
cool and it's warm.
The general,
at
the
the
general
same
what?
time.
What kind of coat?
Gentleman's frock coat. You know,
Oh, the
like-
old frock coat. Yes.
Yeah,
I
that's the
remember that.
pattern I used for that.
Excellent. Well, baby, I think that's enough footage. So we'll just sign it off there, and you can
It's
show
coming.
this
Thank
to your
you.
students.
Thank
Oh,
you
you're welcome.
so much. Take care.
Thank you.